What is up, fight fans, and welcome to another KJ MMA show. I am Ryan, he is Garrett, and UFC San Diego goes down this Saturday, obviously from beautiful San Diego, California, and the main event is Dominick Cruz and Marlon Vera. Really important bout in the 135-pound division here. And Dominick Cruz, this is his home turf, so he's going to have a lot of fans there cheering for him, but he is the underdog. He's a plus 190 underdog against Marlon Chito Vera, who's a minus 225 favorite, and I know Marlon Vera has looked very good as of late. He's on a nice little winning streak. He's beat a couple of tough opponents, and so has Dominick Cruz. But the question for me is this fight from a betting perspective, is this a lot closer than I feel like these betting odds are? Because I feel like Dominick Cruz is one of the best that we've ever seen, and he's not that old.
I feel like it's going to play out a lot closer. I probably would have lined Vera around minus 165 all the way up to minus 175 as a favorite because of his momentum and how well he's been doing and how Cruz is on a little bit of a decline. He hasn't looked good as of late. He got dropped in his last fight, albeit he won, but he just hasn't looked great. And then winning a split decision over Casey Kenny is not anything to write home about. Like I said, Vera's been looking like an absolute killer. Looks like he should be coming up to a title shot at some point soon. Rightfully so, but on the feet, I feel like it's gonna be close because of the fact that Cruz brings a style that's still hard to match up against, hard to read. Vera's also a slow starter, so right off the bat, I think Cruz is probably going to bank at least the first round, maybe the first two. But come rounds 3, 4, and 5, Vera tends to take over, and I kind of expect the same here. Also, I feel like Vera possibly has the potential to get him out of there because of the fact that Cruz isn't what he used to be. He's been knocked down in 2 of his last 3. Getting knocked out by Pedro Munoz, it's not great considering Vera's just as hard of a puncher that Munoz is as well. So ultimately, I got Vera winning this fight. Minus 225 price tag is great, but ultimately, I think he wins. I think he gets a knockout, honestly, in 25 minutes. I think he puts him away because he's been knocking down a lot of people. He's been putting fighters away, like Frankie Edgar, almost put away Rob Font. So, yeah, I got Vera inside the distance, probably by knockout.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Rob Font performance, that win was the best that I've ever seen Marlon Vera bell to bell, because he went in there and he teed up a veteran fighter who we know is very, very tough in Rob Font. So that was really impressive to me. But we both know Dominick Cruz does bring a different kind of style. So that's going to be interesting. And my one question is with Dominick aging a little bit is, can he still be elusive? Can he be that elusive fighter? Because if he can make things really interesting here in this main event. But I'm excited to see how this one does play out for both guys. Your co-main is David Onama and Nate Landwehr. Onama is a minus 255 favorite. Landwehr's a plus 215 dog. I really like David Onama here. I actually think he's probably going to get him out of there. Onama's got a lot of power, and I just feel like this matchup is kind of tailor-made for a big knockout.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And mind you, David Onama, I believe, is taking this fight on short notice, and they're putting him on short notice in a co-main event spot. That's how much confidence the UFC has in this kid, and rightfully so. He showed that he could submit his opponent. He showed that he can knock out his opponent. He's a real deal, and he's climbing the ladder, and possibly we could see him inside the top 15 by the end of the year. He's just his rookie season, pretty much his rookie year, and he's possibly going to sneak into the top 15 so early in his in his UFC career. That's pretty ecstatic. And, as far as his fight goes, I have Onama winning. I have him winning probably inside the distance by knockout, him by knockout. Wow, that's a really good line. Onama by knockout is plus 175 right now on Bet Online. That is a really good line. We've seen Landwehr get rocked and knocked out. He got knocked out by Herbert Burns, might I add. It's not good in its own right. I got Onama here. I got him by knockout. I like it at plus 175. I like the under 1.5 rounds at plus 120 or plus 115 at Bet Online. It's going to be close. I feel like it's going to be very exciting right off the bat. They're going to come out there. They're going to throw down. Someone's getting out of there under 1.5 rounds. This fight doesn't go the distance. It's minus 220. That's a great line too. I just can't fathom this fight that it goes the distance. These two guys are finishers. And these two guys get cracked. Let's put it that way. They can get finished. I like all of it. I like Onama by knockout, the under 1.5. This fight doesn't go the distance. Possibly Onama in round 1. Onama in round 1 is plus 250. I think there's a lot to be had in this fight.
Onama is actually my lock of the night here for this UFC San Diego card. I feel very, very good that he goes in there and he puts Nate Landwehr out. So that's your co-main event. We got to move to the big boys next. And my guy, Devin Clark, he's an underdog, plus 130 against Azamat Merzakanov, who's a minus 150 favorite. What's the path to a Devin Clark victory here, or do you just not see it?
Wrestle as much as humanly possible, pretty much. On the feet, I think he's a little bit outgunned. I think Azamat has, he's got more power. I think he's more diverse on the feet, some really heavy leg kicks. But we already know what you're going to get from Devin Clark. He's going to come forward. He's going to try to grapple with you. He's landing 2.48 takedowns per 15 minutes, successful on 35%. That's his path to victory. Azamat, his takedown defense hasn't really been tested yet, and it will be tested here. But, he's got that combat sambo background, so that going in, he's got some good takedown defense. So it boils down to that, and that's why the line is so close, because of the fact that Merzakanov has not, faced anybody like Devin Clark in terms of the grappling yet in his career. So we're going to see what he's made of now. But ultimately, I do think Merzakanov is good enough to get back to his feet or stay on the feet, where he has a pretty sizable advantage.
Devin Clark, his last win, that KO victory, was spectacular. It was a beautiful finish. So I try to stay objective, but I do like Devin. I've interviewed him a handful of times. He's a great guy. So I hope he keeps the train rolling and pulls the minor upset here. But we'll see what happens. The big boys get in there and throw down. We'll move to the battle of the names here. Let's see how I do with this. Eisman Lucindo and Yasmin Juragüe. Lucindo is a plus 180 dog. Yasmin's a minus 210 favorite. How do you see this one playing out, Garrett?
This is definitely a fight I want absolutely nothing to do with betting-wise, because they're two debut women MMA fighters. So that's already bad in itself right there. From what I've seen, Yasmin is, the better fighter. She's, the better prospect. She's faced some good competition, and she's pretty much the number one female, prospect coming into the UFC right now. Lucinda, she middle of the pack. She's got some good experience. She's well-rounded, but, I don't see a clear indication that I'm going to lay minus 210 on a debut women's MMA fighter. It's just not going to happen, nor would I take a shot on the underdog on a debut fighter either. So I'm likely going to stay far away from this fight from a betting perspective.
I'm with you 100%. Well, let's move to a couple of ladies that the MMA fans out there do know very well, and that's Cynthia Calvillo. She's a minus 170 favorite against Nina Nunes, who's a plus 145 dog. I like Cynthia here. I think ultimately she probably wins the decision. How do you feel? Are you thinking about it differently here with this fight?
It depends. It really depends on what Calvillo is going to do. If she's going to stand and strike, she probably loses. She goes in and grapples, she should win, but you don't know what she's going to do. You're thinking she's going to go in and grapple, and she goes out there and stands for 15 minutes for what apparent reason, I don't know. You look at her fight against Caitlin Chikagian, she only attempted, I think, like one takedown in a fight. Only 4 takedowns, and she was only successful on one on somebody that gets taken down by pretty much everybody. That's not good. Her only win in her last 5 fights is Jessica I. It's not good either. But then on the flip side, you have Nina, who's not looked good either. She got taken down by Mackenzie Dern, which is not good, because Dern's offensive grappling is pretty much not there. She doesn't do well taking her opponents to the mat. It's hard to really know what you're going to get from either one of these two. I personally cannot bet on this fight either, but if I had to choose, I'd have to go with Cynthia Calvillo, just because she does have a big path to victory if she goes out and fights smart, and she's the younger of the two, hasn't had a long layoff or a baby born or anything of the sort. So I ultimately go with Calvillo, but I cannot bet this fight.
GM3 and Bruno Silva in a very interesting battle here. Bruno Silva is a minus 295 favorite. It's a rather large favorite against the veteran Gerald Meerschaert, who's a plus 245 dog. I mean, we know Meerschaert can go in there and surprise somebody and get a submission victory, but can he against Bruno Silva?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, I just don't see it. I don't think his offensive grappling is good enough to stifle Silva and, actually get him submitted. Silva's actually got some pretty decent jiu-jitsu in his own right to stay out of harm's way. And on the feet, we know who's winning that fight all day is Silva. So as long as he doesn't get tapped out on the mat, I think she probably gets a knockout, an early knockout, probably within the first 2 rounds.
All right, Lucas Brzezinski, a plus 215 dog against Martin Boudet, who's a minus 255 favorite. And all I got to say about this, Garrett, is I've got Boudet all day here. I think he goes and cruises to a victory. If he doesn't get him out of there, he wins a decision easy. It's a slam dunk to me.
I kind of see it that way too, but then again, this is extremely low-level heavyweight fight. Anything could possibly happen. But if you got to think about it, you probably go with Boudet. I think he's got more tools in the tank. He's a larger fighter, because the last time these two weighed in, Boudet was 265 while Brzezinski was 236.
Yeah.
So
it's a different weight class.
Yeah, you're talking about having a 30-pound
Yeah.
weight advantage. This guy had a cut weight, so that means he's probably at least 270 plus come fight time. So
I've always said, real quick, I got to say, I've always said there should be, the UFC needs to bring in a cruiserweight division and put something at 225 to break it up, because it's just the difference between the heavyweight limit at 265 and then 206 is the lowest you can weigh in on. It's massive, and there needs to be a weight class in the middle, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because, 265 to 207, that's a massive gap, because at heavyweight, you're 207 to 266. So, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So maybe 225 would probably kind of cut it in half a little bit. I think that would work best. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, I got Bidet all day.
All day. Okay, so we're in agreement there. Now, Charlie Ontiveros and Gabriel Benitez. Benitez is a massive favorite, minus 345. Isn't Charlie Ontiveros, isn't that guy with the crazy hair, right? He looks like the guy from The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, Sideshow Bob, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I knew that name sounded familiar. Yeah, I mean, look, we've seen him in there before. He's had a couple of nice wins in the UFC, but Gabriel Benitez, I believe, is on another level. I thoroughly expect him to go in there, handle his business, and get a win.
I expect a knockout here for sure. I definitely expect that. He's a gamer. He comes forward, has heavy hands, nasty calf kicks. Charlie Ontiveros doesn't have the greatest defense. Definitely, when it comes to his grappling, it's non-existent. But even on the feet, I don't think he's got a great chin. His mindset too. He was talking about he was about to just hang it up after the Kevin Holland fight. Doesn't feel like he really wants to fight in general, from what I've been reading in his interviews. So I kind of think he's mentally checked out as it is. Ultimately, I got Gabriel Benitez winning this fight by knockout. Don't know which round, though. It leads me to believe he might get it in round 2, which is plus 350. Or you can sprinkle a little bit on him in round 1 at plus 165. But either way, one of those two is going to hit. He's knocking him out inside 2 rounds. It's happening.
Yeah, and I was wrong. I thought he had a nice win in the UFC, but I'm actually thinking about Fury FC, which is right before he made it to the UFC. So he's winless inside the biggest promotion in the world, which is never a good thing. So if he doesn't get a W here, the UFC might be looking to move on from him. Now, this next fight is one of the ones that I'm most excited about on the card, because both of these guys are dynamic. I feel like they're big for the weight class. Oday Osborne, Tyson Nam. Oday Osborne's minus 240 favorite. Tyson Nam is a plus 200 dog here. Can Tyson Nam spring the upset and get a win, or do you expect Oday to go in and do his thing?
Oday probably is going to dance around him for 15 minutes and make it extremely hard for Nam to land pretty much anything. Nam's been out for almost 2 years due to multiple injuries and stuff like that. He's also, I think, 36, 37 years old, so he's at the tail end of his career. He's got punching power. Don't get me wrong. So at any given time, he can land something. But when Matt Schnell just absolutely outstrikes you quite handily, you're going to have a terrible time trying to fight Oday Osborne, because he's Matt Schnell on crack. He's a lot better, a lot faster, more dynamic, more diverse. So yeah, I got Oday all day.
Oday all day. Okay. Well, this next fight too is another one that I've got circled, because I like watching both of these ladies get in there and do their thing. Angela Hill, loopy godinez. Loopy's a big favorite, minus 340. And Angela Hill, she's a little bit older. I mean, she's doing her broadcasting thing now too. So I feel like when you do start to make that transition, especially if you're not a legit title contender, maybe your focus isn't dialed in 100% to winning inside of the octagon. And Loopy Godinez is smack right in the middle of her prime. I got Loopy here. Loopy's going to go in there. If she doesn't get her out of there, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I love Loopy. I just love what the tenacity and the attitude that she brings into the table. I think she's going to be the stronger of the two. She's actually at a catch weight of 120 pounds. She's actually fought at 125 pounds on short notice. And I think Loopy's going to be the bigger, stronger fighter. She's always going to come forward, pressing forward. Hill's going to have to be on her bike for the entire 15 minutes and not get hit and not get taken down. She's going for a ride. She's going to get taken down. She's going to get beaten up. And Loopy takes a wide, unanimous decision and keeps it rolling.
Yep. Now, this fight, actually, this next one was supposed to be on last weekend's card, but it was moved to this one because there was some sort of complications with Josh Quinlan testing positive for something. It wasn't completely illegal, but they had to move the fight because of it. So I can't remember the specifics, but Jason Witt, he's a plus 195 dog. Josh Quinlan, a minus 230 favorite. Does Quinlan get a victory over Jason Witt here? We've talked about Witt before. We know what his game plan is going to be. Can Quinlan stop Witt from the takedown after takedown after takedown offense?
I'm actually more confident now in Josh Quinlan than I was last week because of the fact that now Jason Witt has to cut a second time. So now you're taking a guy that has chin issues and make him cut twice in 2 weeks. That is no bueno, especially against a guy like Josh Quinlan who doesn't have a ton of wear and tear. He's a younger fighter. He's never been knocked out. I got Josh Quinlan taking this inside 2 rounds via knockout. I mean, everything's stacked against Witt here. He's always had durability issues, and now he's going to have to go in and cut weight again and even be more vulnerable.
Man, that's a great point. I didn't even think about it like that, but you just made a fantastic point, and there's a lot of sense of what you just said. So I hate hearing that too because I love Jason Witt, but that's no bueno, as you said, for Mr. Witt. Let's move to Blackshear making his UFC debut against Youssef Zalal. Blackshear, I know him actually very, very well. He actually came up and fought here in Maine at New England Fights. He beat a close friend of mine, Aaron Lacey, who's an absolute stud, and he's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak. Now, the last time he did lose was to a guy named Danny Sabatello, and he took him the distance. That that was a competitive fight with Sabatello. And now Blackshear, he coming off winning the CFFC belt, beating Josh Smith and Youssef Zalal. This is a guy that is talk about someone that's in desperate need of a win. He has to get a win here, or the UFC is probably kicking him out the back door. So I'm really intrigued by this one. Blackshear is a plus 110 dog against Youssef Zalal, who's minus 130 favorite. How do you see this one going, Garrett?
I'm taking the dog here in Blackshear, mainly because Zalal was getting ready to fight a striker in Christian Quinones. I believe he pulled out due to visa issues like a couple days ago, maybe about a week tops. Now you got Blackshear, who is a true veteran of the sport in every sense of the word. He's 12-4 as a debut fighter. That's impressive considering he's got more professional fights than Youssef Zalal does. He's been one of the best on the regional scene. He's, like you said, a CFFC champion. He's fought elite competition. Granted, he's lost to them too, but Youssef Zalal is coming off 3 straight losses. Now he's making his first cut in his entire career to 135 to take on a guy he's normally going to go down. You're always going to go down in weight to be the bigger fighter. He's going down in weight and not getting any ounce of size advantage in this fight. He's going against one of the bigger 135ers in the division in Blackshear, and now in the division in Blackshear at 5'10". So he can match him with size and physicality. And now Zalal went from fighting a striker to now fighting a grappler because Damon has, I believe, 8 submission victories in his 12 fights. So it's a different style matchup. I would have taken Zalal all day over Christian Quinones because I wasn't really high on him in the contender series. He probably would have just stayed on the outside, absolutely just point fight him for victory. But in this fight, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a lot of scrambles. It's gonna be a lot of grappling. And your first cut to 135 pounds, he's gonna make Zalal work. And I feel like Zalal's gonna get tired. And I think Blackshear just takes over and gets a victory.
Yeah, and look, Blackshear, I can tell you this for sure. This is a guy that has been waiting and pining for this opportunity for a very, very long time. So you're gonna see a guy that's on his A game, giving you the absolute best version of himself for his UFC debut. I actually like the dog here too. I got Blackshear getting a win here. Let's move to the last fight of the card, which again will be the curtain jerker of the evening. Ariane Lipski, a minus 190 favorite against Priscilla Cachuera, who's a plus 160 dog. What's the betting play for this one, Mr. Fight Analyst?
I'll probably be getting some food, taking a little break before the fights even get started. I'll start watching in the second fight in, but as far as this fight goes, working it down, man, it's tough because I feel like they're very evenly matched everywhere. Where I feel there's a little bit of a difference, and Cachuera is going to be coming forward, being the aggressor, getting in the face of Lipski, and I feel like that could be the deciding factor, just being able to do more, land more damage. Because I don't think Lipski has any damaging blows. She's not a really powerful striker. She's got technique and she's got some good submissions on the ground as well. But I don't think she's a good offensive grappler to get to the mat either. So I think Cachuera will be able to keep this fight on the feet and just land some haymakers, come forward like the zombie that she is, and get the job done as an underdog.
That actually does it. That's the every single fight on the card for UFC San Diego, which is this Saturday, August the 13th. And again, it's headlined by Dominick, Cruz, and Marlon Vera, which is a very exciting main event. And the fans in San Diego are going to be loving that with one of their own, Dominick Cruz, headlining an event here for the UFC. And who knows how many left he has, because he's getting towards the end of his career. And he's so darn good on the mic too, right? I mean, he's going to go right into that analyst role for the the UFC very seamlessly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. It's going to be fireworks. Any type of fight with Vera in it, it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see, what's next for both of them, because I feel like either a win from either one of them just puts them right back in, right into the title contention.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Another great show here for Ryan and Garrett. We will see you guys next week.